They called him the perfect neighbor, always smiling, always offering a hand. But in Lakeshore Estates, a quiet Florida suburb, one muggy August night turned that image into a living nightmare. Have you ever trusted someone who later showed a side you never saw coming? Someone who seemed ordinary until they weren't? What unfolded on Lilac Court shattered the illusion of safety that this small community had clung to for years. It began with kindness, ended in tragedy, and left neighbors questioning how well they truly knew the people living beside them. Tonight, you'll hear the story of Cassandra Bell, a single mother who just wanted peace, and the man next door, Douglas Wright, whose hidden resentment burned hotter than the Florida sun. Stay till the end, because this story carries a warning many of us choose to ignore. Before we dive in, take a second to like this video so more people can uncover stories the world too often forgets. And if you've ever had a perfect neighbor who made you uneasy, drop their story in the comments below. Now, let's rewind. 3 months earlier, Cassandra Bell was unpacking boxes in her sunny yellow duplex. She'd moved here with her 10-year-old son, Malik, hoping the quiet streets and neatly trimmed lawns would offer something her old neighborhood couldn't: peace. She worked long shifts at a dental clinic, always coming home tired but smiling. The neighbors seemed welcoming. One even brought a pie when she moved in. Douglas Wright, retired Army veteran, meticulous about his yard and routines. At first, everything felt right. Cassandra greeted him with warmth. When her car battery died, he jump-started it. When she worked late, he offered to keep an eye on Malik. A sense of trust began to form, the kind that makes a house finally feel like home. But beneath the warmth of this new start were cracks too subtle to notice. Cassandra didn't see the glances Douglas gave when Malik played his music too loud. She didn't hear the muttered frustrations when new families who looked like hers, moved into Lakeshore Estates. Have you ever convinced yourself someone's words didn't mean what they clearly did? Cassandra did. She believed the best in people. Would you have done the same? Let us know in the comments. Some truths only reveal themselves too late. Douglas Wright's life revolved around routine: early walks, meticulously mowed grass, and long afternoons staring out his window at a world he no longer understood. Born and raised in Florida, he'd watched his quiet town change. To him, it wasn't progress, it was intrusion. He was polite enough. Neighbors called him helpful, dependable, and quiet. But a few caught glimpses of something else. He ranted about how things used to be, about people moving into places they don't belong. Nothing loud, but sharp enough to sting. Still, Cassandra brushed it off. People said jokes without meaning harm, right? But behind closed blinds, Douglas's world boiled. He wrote angry notes about noise, parking, and lack of respect. His resentment wasn't loud. It was disciplined and patient. Every evening, he watched Cassandra's house. She laughed with neighbors. Malik dribbled a basketball in the driveway. To Douglas, it was noise, disruption, an invasion. Do you think someone can truly hide who they are, even for years? Or do the walls eventually crack? Leave your thoughts below, because in this story, those cracks turned deadly. It started small. Cassandra's car scraped a corner of Douglas's wooden fence one evening as she tried to park during a storm. She knocked on his door, apologized, and even offered to pay for repairs. Douglas's face was stiff, his voice clipped. "Don't worry about it," he said. But his eyes said something different. The next day, a note appeared in her mailbox. "Be careful. Not everyone's as forgiving." Then came more notes. Complaints about her son's basketball, about trash cans left inches off the curb. Petty things, but persistent. Neighbors noticed his tone changing. He muttered about neighborhood standards. He started avoiding eye contact. Cassandra told her friend she felt uneasy, but didn't want to call the police. "He's harmless," she'd said. "Just lonely." Have you ever ignored that gut feeling, hoping kindness would fix everything? At this moment, Cassandra still wanted to believe she lived in a safe place. If you were in her shoes, would you have ignored it or confronted it? Tell me below, because this moment could have changed everything. That night, the air was thick enough to taste. The hum of cicadas filled the silence. Cassandra noticed her porch decorations, small lanterns she and Malik made together, were crushed and bent. Her heart sank. She looked across the yard. Douglas stood by his door, staring. She walked over, barefoot on the wet grass. "Douglas, can we talk?" she called out. He didn't answer. When she reached the porch, his eyes were cold. "You people never stop," he muttered. Her voice trembled. "I don't know what you mean, but please stop doing this." He stepped back, lips curling into something that wasn't quite a smile. "I've had enough." A flash of light, then 2 deafening shots. Neighbors rushed out, screams filling the air. Malik burst from the house, calling for his mother. Cassandra lay motionless on the porch, blood trickling down the steps. Wright stood motionless, gun in hand, muttering something about self-defense. If this part struck you, share this story. Someone out there might be ignoring a situation that feels just a little too familiar. Sometimes silence is the deadliest weapon of all. Within minutes, sirens drowned the hum of the cicadas. Officers arrived to find Wright calm, cooperative, and unshaken. He told them Cassandra charged at him, that he feared for his life. His gun lay neatly on the porch railing. By morning, the story had spread across Florida. A respected veteran shoots his neighbor in self-defense. Local media painted 2 portraits. One a troubled old man frightened in his own home, the other of a young mother struck down by hate. The neighborhood split apart. Some defended him, saying he wasn't racist, that he just snapped. Others saw it for what it was, a killing steeped in quiet prejudice. Protesters gathered on the courthouse steps demanding justice. Candles flickered at a memorial outside Cassandra's home. Malik held her photo in both hands, staring at the house that no longer felt like home. In interviews, Wright showed no remorse, claiming he'd been provoked. The case dragged on for months, tangling debates about race, self-defense, and fear. Lakeshore Estates, once a symbol of safety, became a ghost town of suspicion. Lawn ornaments disappeared, curtains stayed closed, and waves turned into silence. This wasn't just a crime. It was a mirror of America's uneasy truth. Fear can hide behind a friendly smile. Sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones we understand the least. Cassandra Bell's story isn't about a neighborhood gone wrong. It's about the danger of assuming kindness equals safety. The world teaches us to see threats in strangers, but rarely warns us that harm can grow quietly, right next door. Douglas Wright wasn't a monster on the surface. He was polite, helpful, invisible. That's what made him dangerous. Maybe the real lesson is this. Prejudice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers behind a fence, masks itself as order, hides behind a neighbor's grin. And by the time you hear the truth, it's too late. If this story moved you, don't just watch, share it. Someone out there might be overlooking their own red flags. And if you want more stories like this, true-to-life lessons wrapped in fiction, hit subscribe and be part of the Earthly Tales family. Because these stories matter. They remind us that peace isn't guaranteed. It's protected by awareness. As the lights fade over Lakeshore Estates, the houses still look perfect. Trim lawns, tidy driveways. But behind every window lies a story. Some are kind. Some are cruel. Some end too soon. Remember Cassandra Bell, not just as a victim, but as a warning. Peace isn't the absence of violence. It's the presence of understanding. Thank you for watching. Comment below what lesson you took from this story. And stay tuned for more untold truths from everyday lives that changed everything.